Hello there. My name is James Heidema. I'm an international trainer and a strategic coach. And what I'm going to help you with today is to help you join together the economic model and the gap analysis. So the economic model has been around for a while. And when I was an advisor, we didn't call it the economic model, we called it the life program story. And for the sake of this video, we'll call it the economic model, because what it does is it helps the individual understand some of the issues they're going to face in their life and how savings, investment, and insurance fits to help them with those issues. It's most suitable for someone who's uninformed, someone who's not had the opportunity to sit down with a financial advisor, or someone who haven't saved or invested or protected themselves at this point in their lives. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through a series of slides through a presentation on the economic model, to which I've added the gap analysis. For those of you who may know me, the gap analysis is a very powerful tool that I developed that has helped many people around the world to be very successful in helping the customer understand and accept the gaps that occur within their financial plan. And so this model that I'm sharing with you, the economic model, came through the good graces of someone who I really respect from Lithuania by the name of Donatas. And so what we're going to do is walk through the slides, and I will basically explain how you might use them, give you a bit of script to use. Certainly feel free to change your vocabulary, your terminology, but the end point is that the economic model becomes the foundation that leads into the gap analysis. So let's start. The first slide you're looking at is sort of the life program story. The life that most people face is, through childhood up to 18, there's not a lot, there's not a lot to talk about. But soon as they get into a career or they carry on with their educational process towards a career, that's when things begin to happen in their life. That's where they accumulate assets and revenue. Their salary should increase over time, as you can see the chart moving up. And then at some point in the future, age 60, 65, they begin to cut back and decide that they don't want to work anymore, or they want to work less, and therefore they need sources of income there. I mean, I'm certainly an exception. At the point of this video, I'm 75. This year I'm turning 76, and I have no intentions of slowing down until I can't put two words together or two sentences together. So I really want to be able to continue in something that I really love. So next slide, we're talking about sort of things that we strive for during our career process. Certainly, we strive for a relationship. Many of us want to have children. We want to buy our own home, our own apartment. We want to go on those vacations that are above average. So those are sorts of things we look forward towards in our career period. And of course, throughout our career period, we're going to need access to capital, access to cash, to euros or dollars, whatever. And those dollars are going to sort of deal with things we may face during our career period. The first thing we're going to face is we're going to face emergencies. And an emergency from a financial point of view is where the car breaks down, where a fridge no longer works. We have to repair or replace those things. Interesting enough, at the point I'm doing this video, my car is in the auto shop being repaired because it wasn't starting the other day. So I have to pay for that. I have to pay for whatever repair must happen. Those are emergencies. So we need capital for emergencies. Next, we need capital for opportunities. And the opportunities are that we want to buy our first apartment, buy another house. We want to replace the car we have. We want to go on those vacations. Those are opportunity expenses, and we need money for that. And then finally, we need money for retirement, because regardless of what our company may do, the company we're working for, regardless of what the government may do, it won't be enough. So we need to set aside towards that period. Next, we're talking about how do we prepare for that retirement? How do we build up the assets that we'll need? Because people are living longer than ever before. So if you retire at 60, 65, you could live for another 25 years and 30 years even. And that being the case is you need a fair bit of revenue to deal with inflation that's going to erode whatever pension plan you have from your company, whatever the government does for you. So we need to set aside. I typically say to people when they set aside towards pure savings investment, they should set aside 3 to 5% initially. Because what I want people to do is I want them to develop a habit that they can support, and then eventually we'll move to the 10 or 15%. That will allow them to really accumulate a lot of money. You know, and the interesting thing is successful people pay themselves first. You know, they set aside and they live on the difference. Unsuccessful people, financially unsuccessful people, live from paycheck to paycheck and don't set anything aside. So we need to break that habit. So the next thing is, how much do we need? Well, we don't know how much we need when we are retired. And so we want to build that 5 to 7% up to 10 or 15% and really accumulate a lot of capital that would be available to us. So again, when we're looking about savings and investment, we need to sort of think about a couple of things. We need to invest wisely so we match or surpass inflation. Sometimes that's not possible. In some parts of the world, the inflation's double digit, and that's really hard to compete against from an investment point of view. We want our investments, we want a certain number of them to be guaranteed. We want to also make sure that those investments are protected and we have flexibility. And the thing we want to think about when we do investments is what you want to do is you want to have a balanced portfolio, so that if you do need access for emergencies, opportunities, and you have to withdraw funds, you withdraw from your weakest investment, not your best investment. And so, you know, we in that investment portfolio, we want to deal with insurance, we want to have a reserve, and we want to diversify. Okay. Next is we want to think about, again, I mentioned those three sources: government pension, private or company, and self-accumulation. That's where the money's going to go from. And if you look at that example of capital growth, the stock market is all over the place. So sometimes your assets are moving in the right direction and sometimes they're not. But generally, over time, when you invest, you build capital, you build a reserve. Now, on a personal protection point of view, life insurance should be in your portfolio. And if there's just you and your partner, or your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, a suitable amount is 24 months, enough to sort of allow the survivor, your partner, some time to mourn your passing and carry on with life and have enough to pay whatever bills happen. If there's children involved, 24 months is not enough. You need to insure a much greater amount so that there's enough to take care of those children into the future, and certainly to that point where they mature, 18 or older sort of thing. You need, for injury, if you became injured, you need enough to cover loss of income, which could be 3 months or so. Disability, if you've got a surgery or you've got, there's a rehabilitation period, you need some sort of source of income, which could be greater than 3 months. And then finally, critical illness. That if you were to face a critical illness, do you have enough insurance to protect you for a more extended period which you aren't generating income? Okay, so what we do now is we superimpose on top of the economic model, you superimpose the gap analysis. So when you're talking about where they are today, their current reality, that's their current situation. What have they done so far? And in many cases, we meet with people who haven't done anything yet. They don't have any insurance, they don't have any savings or investment. So we need to sort of help them understand what the desired situation, what they're going to face in the future of these need for capital for emergencies, opportunity, and retirement. We need to talk about why in that there's a need for insurance to protect them, because your greatest asset, the customer's greatest asset, is their ability to generate income. And so if we interrupt that because of illness or accident or disability, or God forbid, they die too soon, that takes away the future. That really stops the whole process. And so we need to think about the desired situation from the point of view of what it will allow them to do. And then the gap is the difference between where they are today and where they would like to be. And so we ask the customer, do you see a gap between where you are today and where you'd like to be? And they say, yes, I see the gap. And then you say, tell me, what gap do you see? And where from your point of view is the gap? And then they address that, and you write that down. And then what you do when you come into the second appointment is you review the gap, make sure they still feel there is a gap, and remind them of what they said, and then you begin to offer a solution. I hope this makes sense to you. The economic model is a good tool to use in specific circumstances. You know, I'm a sophisticated investor because I've saved, I've invested, I've protected, I've insurance for a long time. I've had critical insurance, accident insurance, I've had disability plans, all of that stuff throughout my life. Never had to use any of it. I've had savings investments, which I have used. So if you were to come to me and present to me an economic model, I would be somewhat offended. I would think, why are you sharing with me something very simple that I've already addressed and I have experience with? So it's really important when we are sitting down with a customer before we do the economic model to ask those questions. You know, have you ever met with an advisor? Have you ever done any savings, investment, or insurance? If you have, what have you done? If they haven't done anything, then certainly the economic model has a place. So be very careful in its use. And I tend to rely more heavily on a story that I've shared in previous videos, and I rely very heavily on the gap analysis where I think the sale exists. When a person feels there is a gap and they've verbalized what the gap is, you're well on the way to the sale. I hope you found value in this. Thanks for taking time. Bye for now.